Hi everyone, it's Arlene with Design with Arlene, and I have a card that I'm making today using the Good Morning Magnolia stamp set. So when you see this stamp set, and you might have, because it's actually, I think, going to be one of the top sellers in the next year's catalog. I love it, and apparently a lot of other people do too, because I see a lot of samples made with this stamp set. But I am going to be actually only using one stamp from this. It's the Hello stamp. When you see this great big flower, my eye was automatically drawn to that. And I thought, this is going to be really fun. I love this flower. And in fact, I actually had made one and cut it out and was kind of playing around with it. And that is a beautiful flower, but I thought for this particular card, I wanted to just use the Hello stamp set, or the Hello stamp that is in the stamp set. I'm also going to be using the dies. These are the Magnolia memory dies, and that is actually this right here. This is kind of an edging, so we'll have a kind of a little bit of a fancy edge on the paper that I'm going to be cutting out with the die. And then I'm also using the rectangle stitched framelits dies, and for this particular card I'm using this shaped a rectangle die right here. So those two dies are what I'm using. Let me let me show you the paper that I'm using, the cardstock. So this is a piece of So Saffron cardstock, and what I have done is taken the 8.5 by 11 cardstock and then cut it lengthwise so that I have a piece of cardstock that is 11 inches by 4 1/4, and then I folded it down the middle. So it's making a card where the flap is lifted up like this. A lot of times my cards are usually like this, and then the fold is here and I lift it up. But for this particular project, it's going to be opening up a little bit different way. And then I also have a piece of black cardstock, and this one's cut at 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then I have a piece of actually a couple of pieces of the Magnolia Lane Designer Series paper. And again, this is one of my favorites in the new catalog. Love it, love it. These are double-sided, and this pattern paper is 3 7/8 by 5 1/4. And then I have a smaller piece of the Designer Series paper, and that's cut at 3 7/8 by 2 inches. Now remember, if you are wanting to get the dimensions for this, don't worry about trying to write it down, because I do have it on my blog. I'm updating my blog fairly regularly now, actually, as I make the videos. So you'll be able to go in there and just get the dimensions and the instructions directly from my blog. And then I also have just a scrap piece of Petal Pink, okay? And again, one stamp and only one stamp pad for this particular project. I'm using Mossy Meadow. And then of course I'll have some ribbon and some embellishments that we'll jazz it up with. Okay, we'll move this out of the way. And what I wanted to do first was actually, let's grab the patterned paper here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting out both sheets together. And I'm going to be using, like I said before, this die right here. And I'm going to be cutting it so it's this way right here. So it's going to have kind of a fancy edge on the bottom. So I kind of just, what I did is I lined it up. I tried to center it as best I could. The bottom edges are flush with each other. And then my die goes right here, and I'm lining the bottom edge of my die to the bottom edge of the paper. And then when I take it through my Big Shot, I like to take a piece of just washi tape, and then I'm just going to kind of lay it directly onto my paper right here. Of course, I'll line it up really nice, and then I'll run it through my Big Shot and cut it out. And then I'm also going to just take the Petal Pink, run that through the Big Shot on my rectangle stitched die right here, and I'll have a piece of that. So, which of course I've already done ahead of time here. So let me show you what it looks like. So here is the Petal Pink that is cut out from with the rectangle die. And let me see if I can bring that forward so you can see. Do you see how pretty it is? The stitched around the stitching around the edges. That just gives it a really nice touch to it right there. And then the bottom here, the edge, looks like this. So I cut them together and there they are like this. And now let's glue these two together. So I like to have it just where this smaller piece is going to be raised up a little bit. So you see a little bit of that green striped designer series paper kind of peeking through on the bottom. Okay, and then I also have a piece of, let's see, what is this called? This is with it's a Magnolia bundle. And they come in a set of two. There's like a green and an ivory color. And I'm going to just use the ivory color. And let's put it onto the black piece. So you've got a little bit showing through. Okay, and then I like to take and run a little bit of adhesive right there where the pattern paper, the edge of the bottom, the smaller piece of pattern paper is. So you're kind of just hiding that. Nice and flat like that. And then on the back, and bring it over like this, and that adhesive is going to keep it there. Stampin' Up! Has the snail adhesive, and they also have a liquid adhesive, which I like for different projects. But I do tend to, my go-to is my ATG gun. Let's see, I'm gonna use this side. And then center that right onto your card base. That's so saffron. Like that. Okay, now we've got the hello stamp right here, and I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow, and we're just going to take that stamp, don't drop it, Arlene, and make sure it's, yeah, Stampin' Dimensionals to pop them up. I think I'll use a couple more here. And peel the backing paper off, and then apply this. And I think I'm going to put it right there in the center. These are the little clear epoxy droplets, and I'm going to take this little one, and I think I might put it, you know, right there on the flower, and then maybe so there you have it. Simple, but with that designer series paper, it sure just does dress up the whole card, and it really makes the card so you really don't need much else because you have all that beautiful paper there that's standing out. So I hope you enjoyed this card. Everyone have a wonderful day, and thanks for stopping by. Bye.